Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving into a really fantastic story called All About a Dog. It's one of those simple stories that gets you thinking, you know? It's all about that tricky line between following the rules word for word and, well, just using some good old-fashioned common sense. So let me just throw this question out there for you. Have you ever been in a situation where sticking to a rule actually made everything way, way worse? That's exactly the kind of mess we're getting into today. And it all starts on a freezing cold bus ride. All right, so try to picture this. It's the very last bus of the night in London. It is freezing. I mean, the kind of cold where the wind just cuts right through you. And a few tired passengers are just climbing on, really hoping for a little bit of warmth. Now, among these passengers is a young woman, and she's holding this tiny, little, fluffy Pekingese dog. Super cute. But when the conductor comes around to get the fares, his eyes just lock onto that dog. And our narrator, who's watching all of this, he just knows. He knows trouble is coming. The story has this perfect description for the conductor. It calls him the resentful employee. So this isn't just a guy doing his job. He's the type of person who's kind of mad at the world, you know? And he takes out all that frustration on the passengers. And that little dog, oh, it's the perfect excuse for him to exercise a little bit of power. So the stage is set, right? You've got the conductor who's armed with his bad mood and his rule book, and he does not waste a second. He is ready for a fight. And he doesn't just ask politely. The story says he delivers the line with sour venom. It's a command. And you get the feeling he is absolutely enjoying this moment of authority. But check this out, the woman is completely ready for him. She's calm, she's firm, and she basically says, "No way. I'm not taking my dog out into that freezing cold. Here's my name, here's my address, do what you have to do." Okay, and this is where things really escalate. Instead of just taking her details and letting the bus move on, he pulls the bell. The whole bus grinds to a halt. Suddenly, his little power trip is everyone's problem. This isn't about a dog anymore, it's a battle of wills. So just like that, everybody's ride home is officially on pause. The bus isn't moving, the wind is howling outside, and inside, a whole different kind of storm is starting to brew with the other passengers. And this is where it gets really interesting. The passengers don't get mad at the woman with the dog. No, they all turn on the conductor. They start shouting, "Shameful! Let's get our money back! Report him!" The entire bus sides with the woman and her little dog. And in the middle of all this human drama, what's the dog doing? The tiny Pekingese, the source of all this trouble? It's just sitting there, blinking at the lights, with absolutely no clue what's going on. It's just such a perfect, absurd little detail. Eventually, a policeman wanders over, and you think, okay, finally, some sense. But no, he's no help at all. He basically just shrugs his shoulders and says, well, he's got his rules. So apparently the rule is the rule, no matter how ridiculous the situation is. What happens next is just maddening. The woman tries to compromise. She goes up to the freezing cold top deck. The bus starts, but then the engine breaks down. So while they're waiting, she comes back downstairs to warm up. The second the engine's fixed, the conductor sees her, sees the dog, and stops the bus all over again. The whole fight starts from scratch. His stubbornness is just unbelievable. So eventually, the other passengers just give up and leave. The conductor has won, but he's standing in an almost empty bus. Our narrator is the last one left, and he has a quiet chat with the conductor. And this is where we really get to the heart of the whole story. When the narrator asks him about it, the conductor's only defense, his only justification for all that chaos, is to say, "I've got my rules." For him, that's it. End of story. The rule is the rule. But the narrator makes this absolutely brilliant point. He explains that, look, not all rules are the same. Some rules, like the rules of the road, are hard and fast. You have to follow them to the letter because they're about keeping people safe. But other rules, like the one about the dog on the bus, they're more like guidelines. They're meant to be used with a little bit of common sense. And then he just hits him with this incredible line. He tells the conductor, "You have kept the rule and broken its spirit." Wow. He was so obsessed with the words in the rulebook that he completely destroyed the purpose of the rule, which was just to keep things pleasant for the passengers. So, after all that drama, what are we supposed to take away from this? Is the lesson that all rules are bad? Of course not. The real point here is that rules are totally necessary, but they have to be applied with some humanity. You need to mix them with, as the story says, A little goodwill and good temper. That's what makes everything run smoothly.
And the story ends on this really nice, hopeful note. The conductor doesn't argue, he actually listens, and as the narrator gets off the bus, the conductor wishes him a friendly goodnight. It's this little hint that maybe, just maybe, the lesson actually stuck.
And that leaves us with a great question to chew on, doesn't it? Think about the rules in your own life, at your job, in your family, anywhere. Which ones are the hard and fast ones, and which ones could use a little more spirit and a little less letter? It's definitely something worth thinking about.